Well, hello, hello, hello. We are back for another episode, another day, another Ex-Homeschoolers Club. And today I'm joined by my friend Morgan. I've known Morgan for, it feels like a long time. But
I don't know how long actually, to be honest with you.
so Morgan, thank you for joining me. It's funny because this show has definitely brought a lot of people out of the woodwork who I would have never I don't wanna say I would have never reached out to them. I always viewed you as too cool for school, too cool for the homeschool community, and so, doing this, there's a lot of people in my life who I'm like, they were too cool for the homeschool group. They would never listen to this. They would never, whatever." And, anyway,
That is funny.
but it has brought us back together, to some degree, so thank you once
Mhm.
again for being here, and thank you again for joining me.
Yes, I know, I have really enjoyed watching all the videos. I think because I've known so many people since we were so young, and so when I first saw the account pop up, I was like, "No way, click. It's true, you have gotta be kidding me." So, I don't know if you remember, but Hannah Amico, she was my best friend in high school. Her and I are still really close. She lives in Australia now, her husband's from there, and they have a bunch of kids. But I messaged her and was like, "Look at this. Everyone's back on here." And so she watched it too, and I don't know, it was just funny. It just brought back a bunch of memories
That's
from youth group
awesome.
and stuff,
That's
but,
awesome. Yeah, I love the
yeah.
Amigos. I knew them mostly because of church. So and that's how I
Yeah.
feel like I mostly knew you, I feel like because of church. But we also did go to group solutions together.
Yep, we did, and I was a part of Achieve for a little bit too. I was just very my parents would have to, like, make me go and make me do the schoolwork. Like, I couldn't even tell you what class I took at Achieve. I have no idea what I took.
So give me a little rundown of like your homeschool experience. Like were you homeschooled
Mhm,
all the way through,
mhm.
college? What did it look like?
From preschool to okay, do you remember the school VCCS in Ventura, Ventura County Christian? It's a
Yes.
little private homes or a private school. It was really tiny. Like in my class, it was like we had grades that were together. Like second and third were always get together. Fourth and fifth were always together. I went to that school from maybe like first or second until fifth grade, I think. And then before that, we had done like some homeschool, some online, like K-12 type stuff. Junior high or when my parents pulled me out of the private school, I went to public school in Oxnard. That was very eye-opening. My parents pulled me about halfway through the school year because it was just really, really intense. So I did private school, public school, online school, and then for junior high, I was strictly at home doing homeschool. And so that's probably when you and I would have met was more during that time,
Yeah.
especially because we started doing group solutions. I think when I was in junior high. So and I did no, I'm sorry. I did 6th and 8th grade. I was only in junior high for 2 years because 7th grade was like that weird review year, and my parents let me test out of it. I was, a really big troublemaker during my junior high and for most of my high school years. So my parents really just did not wanna put me in, school because I was just gonna make really worse decisions. So, yeah, worse than I would have even made as a homeschooler. So for junior high and high school, I did homeschool, but I did like co-ops and I would do online school. I did like a lot of block work. I was always like at least a week ahead in school. So if something cool came up, I could leave and go do whatever. Yeah, more than anything, probably what you saw with my, like, too cool for school, or whatever. It was not that, it was insecurity, and it was me trying to figure out what the heck what the heck am I doing?
I think
Who am I?
I think that was kind of all of us though. I mean,
Yeah,
the
totally.
high school, the teenage years in general, in junior high and high school are just like already
They're
just super
painful.
awkward. It doesn't matter
Yeah,
homeschool, public school, whatever. But yeah, you're just like, I don't know, you're figuring yourself out and like I think there's a lot of
yeah,
false confidence sometimes like
totally.
with people and yeah, I don't know. It definitely I don't know, there's just there's a weirdness to it. And I think being a
Yeah,
homeschool kid
totally.
also like you said, you came from doing private school, public school too. So I
Mhm.
think that also when you come into it kind of at a later stage and there's so many people who already have known each other for forever, it can
Totally.
sometimes be hard because you're to some degree, you're like the odd man out.
Well, and my parents were very different. They were I mean, we grew up traditional in the sense that, like, I don't know, my mom stayed home for the most part and, like, in those types of ways, but, like, my mom and dad were, um, they were strict when they needed to be strict, and they weren't strict when they felt like they didn't need to be strict, whereas my, like, perception of a lot of the homeschool parents, and I think this is why I would get in trouble a lot by, like, teachers that and teachers/parents at group solutions and other things, was that I just wasn't used to having things be so strict and so on a leash, like, when I was 16, I asked my parents if I could go to Uganda on a mission trip, and they were like, "Sure, go ahead, no big deal." And then when I came home, there was something that happened there that meant a lot to me, and I really wanted to get it tattooed. So they took me when I was 16 to get this tattoo in a garage in Ojai. Like there weren't a lot of like homeschool parents that were letting their kids at 16 get tattoos. And I remember when I got it, it caused like an uproar at Group Solutions. Like it was a problem. So I think I always felt kind of like judged, but in my judgment from the homeschoolers, like traditional homeschoolers, it was like this rebellion, like, nah, like I don't know if I even like you guys anyway. So it was like a weird mix for me of
Yeah.
trying to figure out what I just didn't know where I fit. So
Yeah,
yeah.
no, I feel that because yeah, I mean, a lot of us were super rule followery, like, uh, yeah, my parents, the rule was no tattoos until like as soon as you get a tattoo, it's your indication that you can afford life on your own. So it was like, which is so dumb. And I mean, I get, like, no tattoos in high school, that makes sense to me, but, yeah, I was, like, in college, I don't know, I had friends who wanted to get me a tattoo for my birthday, and I was like, "Guys, we can't do this," and they're like, "Dude, you
Oh,
just get it, like, on your butt or something, it's, like, not a big deal," and I'm so glad I didn't because, I ended up having some health issues
okay.
and my parents had to see my butt at some point after I was an adult, and, like, that was yeah, it just would've been a whole thing, and
It wouldn't have hit itself as well as
it
you would have hoped it would
e
have. So
exactly,
yeah,
that's
they
the
would have
thing
kicked you
is
off the insurance immediately.
exactly, exactly. So, yeah, so it was, like, definitely a sign of that, but I think there was just so many homeschool kids where, yeah, there was just, like, these rules that were just I don't know, and sometimes they weren't even necessarily the parents inflicting the rules, but it was just as a social group,
As
there was
yes,
just so much
exactly.
expectation of, like, well, this is how kids act, and this is what we do, and, like,
Totally.
all that kinda thing, 'cause I mean, like to your point, you got a tattoo, and yeah, it was like, whoa, she's really young to have a tattoo. That's really surprising, and kind of thing. And it's like first time I smoked a cigar, and like people found out about it. It was like, oh, he's smoking now. It's like that's I don't know, 17 years old. It's like I was.
Oh,
It was not a big deal.
I didn't hear about it. If I would have heard about it, I've been like, "Jacob, let's go." Oh
So
my
we all had
gosh,
our
that's
little
funny.
rebellious things.
Totally.
But
Mhm,
yeah, well, it's interesting to hear, like you said, that it's just like feeling kind of like that outsider was interesting. And I feel like I knew you more through church and youth group, and that definitely
mhm,
felt like in comparison. And I've been trying to think back of like interactions we've had and things like that.
mhm.
And I'm like at Group Solutions, I feel like you were like a fish out of water, and then you put us in like the youth group setting, and you were much more like you had public
Totally.
school friends, and you were like one of the cool kids and things like that. Where like I felt more out of my element in that place. But I don't know, it's just more obvious that you were more comfortable in that situation. Does that seem relatively true?
Yeah, for sure, especially because I'm a huge extrovert. I needed to be around a ton of people, and I think that was a lot of times what my yeah, because at group solution, I really only had one friend. Michael Sandal was my closest friend, and he was really the only friend I had the whole time. When I was there, that's the only person I'd hang out with. Because his parents were also just super chill and relaxed, and
Yep.
I could wear two-piece at their house. It wasn't weird.
Yeah.
And yeah, so at youth group, it was a better mix of kids for me because it was just kind of like, okay, I I don't feel so like it's so honed in on like what is your type of school that you do. It's more about your relationship with the Lord. So
Right.
yeah, I was definitely and Hannah and I we were the queens of all the pranks going on, so that was another reason why I was very comfortable was because there was always a plan at hand that we were executing, so it we had to be there so the plan would take form, so,
Okay, give me an
yeah.
example of that because 'cause I'm trying to remember pranks now.
Oh gosh, um, let's see. Okay, do you remember Drake?
Drake.
The youth leader Drake? Big, really tall, super
Oh,
buff guy.
yeah.
He was
Yeah.
kinda behind the scenes, like, for somebody of that stature, he was very behind the scenes.
Mhm.
And he drove this really tiny little white truck, like, I don't know how he fit inside of it. Like, it's like, okay, you know, on Despicable Me, how Gru gets out of this tiny little car? That's, like,
Yeah.
what it always reminded us of. Well, he had gotten a girlfriend or something, and both Hannah and I thought that that was, like, the funniest thing ever. I have no idea why. We were in high school, like, I have no clue. So we decided, we knew that he was gonna be taking her, like, on a date or something like that after youth group one night. So during youth group, we snuck out to the parking lot, got in his car, and we had found like a big thing of powder in maybe like in the nursery or something. And what we ended up doing was we put powder all under the hood of the truck and then all in the air conditioning vents in his car. So that when they went to go on their date, they just like became these ghosts, right? When we had turned the AC on too, so that it was like inevitable they had to. That was one. Another one was back in the day. He was kind of like an OG youth leader from I think Carp. But do you remember Danny Jack?
Yeah.
Okay, so Danny Jack was supposed to be taking a group of kids on. I think they were going on a missions trip to like Mexico or something. So Hannah and I we went fishing the night before, and we caught a fish, a couple of fishes, and we put it in the roof of the van so that the whole car right down. They had to smell dead fish the whole time.
Wow.
So, that was another one. We ended up Hannah and I we went a little too far with some of our pranks. Another one was a kid that we had met at youth group. I'm not gonna give you his name because who knows if the cops are still looking for us. We went and completely vandalized the front of their house one time with, like, oatmeal and, like, powder, toilet paper. Anyways, we didn't know that that day his mother had gone under surgery and was on really, really heavy medication. And she saw us through the window doing it. Well, she came out butt naked and chased us around the neighborhood. Like, I'm talking butt naked. And so we got to watch her chase us butt naked. And the cops ended up like coming because the kid had called the cops on us. I ended up falling while being chased by this naked woman and breaking my wrist so much so that the bone was like sticking out of my wrist. And it was a disaster, an absolute disaster. So that was one of our final ones. But yeah, we were always doing something.
Oh my
Did I get a
wow.
lot out of youth group spiritually? Maybe not, but prank wise, I got a lot of ideas.
It
So
was yeah, no, youth group was a great it was an incubator for friends, which was
totally.
amazing, and
And the camps were like top notch, so fun.
yeah,
They
no,
I always had so much fun.
I think we had one of the better youth group experiences as just far as, like, I don't know, the stuff that we
Yes.
were able to do was crazy.
Mhm.
We yeah, well, like, the guys, we got in trouble because
Is this the
we
oiled pigs?
yeah, and I was
Yes.
just thinking about this because I just went to the fair, and so we bought pigs, and we did, like, a pig wrestle thing, and PETA, please don't come for me, like, we loved those pigs, we built a big mud pit in a backyard, we basically just played with them. There was no
Yeah.
tackling, there was no stabbing
No one
them.
killed any of them. But
Y
didn't it end up in the news?
so, yeah, so you say nobody killed them, that's actually not true. But
Oh!
but basically the premise of the night was, like, we had these pigs, we did a pig wrestle, and then we had, someone come in who was a trained kill hunter, and they taught us like, how to
Dress it.
properly gut a pig, basically, and then we
Okay.
roasted it and ate it for dinner. So, like, there is a brutal
Okay.
ending to it. However, it wasn't like we were out here torturing pigs. Like, we played with them, we had fun with them,
It
there were
was a
trained people, it
professional.
was
Yeah,
professionally done.
it was
Yeah,
professional.
and, yeah, woke up the next day to, like, being on the front page of Santa Barbara Times or something like that, and then PETA was basically calling for all of us to be arrested and put in jail for torturing pigs and stuff, and,
Oh,
yeah, it was not it was not a good time. It was not fun, to say
I
the
just
least.
remember seeing it in the news, and it was like Caleb, Amico, and Caden Golden were on in the picture where you could, like, see them. I didn't realize that you guys had actually, like, been killed the pigs.
Yeah, yeah, no, and that was yeah, and it was not meant to be a very, like,
Yeah,
public
it
event,
doesn't sound
and
brutal.
yeah. No, I mean, Mr. Golden is the one who came in and taught us, like, "Here's how
Mhm,
you do it, here's the proper procedure," and all that
mm.
stuff. It was really
Yeah, and
interesting.
he's like a legit, like, he knows how to do all that
Yes.
stuff, so
Yeah,
yeah,
he is a
okay.
hunter.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
he knows what he's doing, and so, yeah, that was an interesting experience to say the least, and so anytime anything
I
happened with
love that.
animals after that, there was always the joke that PETA was gonna come after us because, yeah, like a bird would get trapped in a room and we'd have to get it out or, something like that. It'd just always be like, "PETA's gonna come for us."
But
Yeah.
if you did that here, like, somewhere out here in the South, they'd be like, "No big deal." It
Absolutely, yeah. You and I now you live in Kentucky, I live in Tennessee,
Mhm.
and yeah, I just went to the fair and literally watched they had a
Yeah,
pig wrestle, and it was like kids, and it was like, how fast can you grab the pig and hold on to it? And
totally.
I'm like, that was much more, I don't wanna say
Graphic.
harmful, but yeah, it was much more harmful of those animals than, like, what we did, and so it's
Yeah.
just interesting, and yeah, we ended up making it on I wanna say we made it on Fox News at one point, and yeah, the guy was like, um yeah, the guy was just like, "It's you know, we did that as kids. Like, it's not a big deal," kind of a thing. So,
Yeah, that is
anyway.
so funny. That is see,
But
those are some good times. Those are stories that you can't make up that
yeah, exactly.
are
It's
yeah,
yeah, it's one of those stories that it's good to pull out at a party when you're meeting new people. Like, "Oh, yeah, you wanna hear about the one time
totally.
PETA tried to put me in jail?" Like, who's got a story like that, right?
You're
Um,
like, "I may have been homeschooled, but I lived a freaking good life."
exactly, exactly, and I ate good too.
Yeah, totally.
But anyway, bringing it back a little bit to the homeschool world.
Yep.
So after high school, so you were homeschooled all the way through high school.
Yep.
And
I do
then
have a high school diploma as well, so just
yeah.
so everyone knows. If that is something people ask me, "So do you actually have a diploma?" Of course I do, are you kidding
Yep.
me?
I do too. I do too. Yeah, it's an official piece of paper.
Yes.
But how was it like transitioning after high school? Like did you go to college? I know you did YWAM at one point. Like
I did
what did the
YWAM.
transition look like after high school?
So okay, so after high school, so I graduated when I was 17. I graduated in 2014. Um, yeah, 2014. Um, Callan and I, my husband and I always go back and forth because he graduated 2015, but he's older than me by 3 months, and so I always tell him like, "Nah, you just weren't as smart as me." um, but yeah, so 2014. So and then I went to YWAM. I went to YWAM 2015, September 2015, and then in that gap, I traveled. I traveled to Europe by myself and met with a friend in Austria. We kind of backpacked around a couple of countries for I don't know, gosh, maybe like 3 or 4 weeks. That was a blast. Oh my gosh. And then really the main thing I did was I worked. I worked 3 jobs. I had worked at Lure, the restaurant in Ventura, from the time I was 15. Like once I could get a work permit, I had friends that already worked there and pretty much had just a job instantly, which was really cool. So I worked at Lure from in that period of time as well. And then I was working at Starbucks in the mornings. I was opening at 3:30. I would get off at 12. I would go pick up these girls that I was tutoring in the afternoons. I'd tutor them for like 2 hours, and then I'd go to work at Lure and I'd do the closing shift at Lure.
Wow.
So I was working a ton. Honestly, I was just really bored. Um, I had a boyfriend at the time that broke up with me that crushed my heart. So, I just threw myself into work. It's like so stupid. Um, but yeah, so that was kind of what I did. And then crazy enough, I was working at Starbucks one day. And this group of guys came in and I was like, who are these people? They're dirty and gross looking, totally judging them. And then turns out I had been kind of like throwing around the idea of YWAM, but like wasn't totally sold yet and whatever. Well, it turns out these gross, dirty dudes were YWAMers from the Los Angeles base. And the biggest thing at that base was it was a base for skaters, basically. I'm not a skater by any means, but that group they just encouraged me like, "Hey, if you're interested in it, you might as well look into it. Like, what do you have to lose?" And it was kind of like, you know what? You're right. What do I have to lose? So that night, I actually invited all of them over without my parents knowing to come over, and I made everyone tacos, and we had a big old taco dinner, right? And so it was just kind of like this like crazy God coincidence that happened. I still know all of them, which is really cool. And ultimately, when I went, that was in the beginning of the year in 2015. My school started at YWAM in September of 2015, and that's where I met my husband. Was in my DTS, my first school.
For those people who are not super familiar with YWAM, right? It's
Yes,
Youth with a Mission,
youth
right?
with a mission.
Okay.
Yep, and it's basically okay. So how the school is broken up is you have 3 months of a lecture phase. So I lived 3 months at the base, uh, at the Los Angeles base on the YWAM base, and you just basically go through like intensive Bible classes, making sure that you know what it is you're talking about. A lot of people come in with a lot of trauma and things that they need to work through, so they make sure that we touch on those things and whatever. No one's perfect. We're all coming in with crap. Let's be honest. And then after that, they pray about like a place for everyone to go to. Sometimes schools will split it up. So like half of the school will go somewhere, another half of the school will go somewhere else. Our entire school was a total of 16 of us, and we all ended up going to the same place. So when I tell you this, you're going to be like, wow, that sounds luxurious. It was not luxurious. It was horrible during some parts. But we ended up going for the 3 month outreach to St. Vincent in the Grenadine Islands. So it's like you have Barbados up here, and then it's the archipelago of islands just underneath Barbados. So absolutely gorgeous, stunning. I think I only got to go to the water 3 times. Like, I'm still bitter about that. It's the most beautiful ocean in the whole world, and I touched it like 3 times. But yeah, so we did our outreach there. Oh, and but then sorry, I forgot this is important. The beginning of my outreach actually started in LA. We lived 2 weeks in a tent on Skid Row. That was pretty
Oh,
crazy.
yeah.
Yeah. So that was pretty gnarly. So yeah, so my husband wasn't just another one of the students in school. You are not allowed to date. You are not allowed to like each other. You are not allowed to share intentions. So yeah, obviously we waited until afterwards to
Yeah,
tell each other we loved each
that's
other.
something I've realized because 'cause I've had a number of friends now do YWAM
Mhm.
stuff, and some of them come out in relationships or really quickly after come out in relationships.
Uh-huh.
A few of them have resulted in some marriages. A lot of them have resulted in
Divorce.
very bad breakups.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting because, like, to me, it's like very much and I don't want to say it. Obviously, you found your partner, and that's like fantastic.
You're not gonna
But
offend me. Go ahead.
like I think
I've seen it all myself, trust me.
you're putting young adults in a situation where they are also kind of isolated in a lot of ways, where it's like they're
Totally.
just
Yeah.
with each other, and
Damn
that
hots.
you get that like cabin
Yes,
fever kind of a thing. And so I'm
totally.
never surprised when people come out and they're like, "Oh, I'm like so in love with this person," and then 6 months later they're like out in the real world again, and they're like, "Do I actually even
Oh,
like this person, or is this person
yes.
even the person that I think I know them as?" Um, and so that's I don't know, it's just always really interesting because I've just seen people go in, come out, and within months they're like engaged, married, like doing the thing.
Totally.
You guys dated for quite a while, I feel like, after YWAM, no?
No. No. Nope. I'm just gonna tell you, everything you just said. No, but I have seen every single situation that you have said. I have seen every single one, and also 10 other variations we can talk about off screen. But so we met September 2015. Our school ended March 2016. We started dating, and we did a secondary school as well at YWAM LA. So we dated in that second school, and the second school was all on ministry. It's called SOMD, Ministry School of Leadership and Ministry Development. Um, because we always knew we wanted to be business owners of some kind. So it was really cool to be able to like incorporate both of those things. Anyways, long story. But we dated through that school. That school ended March, April, May, June, end of June. And then I moved here to Kentucky because I was like, you are not getting away from me. And we dated in Kentucky, got engaged January 2017, married June 2017, and we moved back to California a week before our wedding. So
Wow.
it was quick. Yeah.
Yeah.
So a year and a half from the time that we met till we were married.
Okay. So I take it all back.
Back, all of it. And then but we waited a while before we had
Mhm.
kids. Well, yeah, a while
Yeah.
for us. We waited like almost 4 years before we had our first baby.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
yeah.
and I think it comes down to also, like, your intentions of, like, continuing to get to know somebody and,
Mhm.
I'm married as well, like, you guys got married about a year before me, it sounds like, and,
Mhm.
yeah, it's like but you continue to grow, you evolve as people, right? And so
Totally.
it's all about the intention of, like, is this my person? Am I gonna,
Mhm.
just walk with them through some of this stuff, It's like people go through
Yeah.
changes, and that's okay.
Totally.
I wake
Yep.
up next to a person that I'm not the same person I was 5 years ago or almost 6
Same.
years ago at this
Yeah.
point that, got married. So it's
Yep.
I get it. And I got married at 22. We got married super young, uh, relative to a lot of people.
Mhm.
And I think that's also a big thing that sometimes people push back onto is just like, "Oh, but how
Totally.
do you know?" And it's like, "Well,
How do you know?
yeah,
Well,
how do you know? How do you not know?"
yeah, I mean, sometimes really that is it. It's like, how do you not know? Yeah, and
Yeah.
for him and I, we are because our outreach was pretty like, um, I don't know, there was some really we experienced some really weird stuff on our outreach.
Mhm.
Both him and I were the 2 extroverted so we were paired to do most things together because we were, like, the ones that are constantly being volunteered to go preach at this church or to go sing here. I don't sing. Or to do this or to lead this or to stand on a truck with a microphone and go yelling down the island. So it's like we were kind of like destined to be best friends because we just kind of had to be. But then within that, because we had to do so many hard things, it was like, oh, we're like a really good team. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So, and Callan had a girlfriend at the time, so that also kind of held me off quite a bit because I didn't want to ever like do anything to disrespect her, right?
Yeah.
But then when he went home after the DTS was done, the first school was done, he broke up with her and then called me like a week later and was like, I can't do this without you. And I was like, oh, thank God, because I can't do this without you. So, so, and that's kind of how we operate in our marriage too. We are best friends first, always. I mean, we even parent like best friends that are parenting their children. I don't know, that might sound weird. But at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, I'm married to Callan, but Callan is my best friend. Like
Mhm.
he's who I want to tell everything to. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So one of the things too that you and I had we chatted a little bit about this previous to recording was like
Mhm.
you had this idea of like I'm never going to get married, I'm never going to have
Mhm.
kids, and lo and behold, that is not your reality
Not the case.
at all. So
Yeah.
like, what was that kind of shift for you? I understand the getting married one a little bit easier because sometimes it just takes
Hmm.
that right person to click in you, but the kids thing
Totally.
I think is a whole nother layer to that. So yeah, share a little bit about that and like what did that look like and how did that change kind of come to be and
I think because I have such a large personality, I'm very vocal about everything. I don't keep secrets about myself. I think I always felt like with especially the getting married part that it would just be really hard to find someone who could put up with that. And Callan's really good at it because he's super patient and he not only puts up with it, but he puts me in my place very graciously. So for him, it was literally the night before I met him. I prayed to the Lord before I went to my wedding. Please do not bring me anyone because I don't want this to be the case. Like I don't want to look like the YWAM couple. Well, just kidding. It's exactly what happened. So, I had always told my parents, like, I am not getting married, I am not going to college, and I'm gonna be covered in tattoos. And the only thing I stuck to with that was being covered in tattoos. So, um, yeah, the kids thing really I don't know, I think, I'm sure you have experienced this too. It's like, especially with marriage, I think you just start to soften towards people when you've been married to someone, you say like, "Okay, like, I am called to love you and I'm called to wake up each day and to choose you And it's I mean, your spouse is so cute that you're like, "God, I wonder what we'd look like mixed together." And, like, as a woman, I, like, started having those thoughts too, where I was like, I wonder, like, what this would look like." So it's not that it was just some spiritual thing that happened, that's not really what it was. Honestly, it was more like, uh, curiosity at first, and then when we really started talking about it, then I was scared. I was terrified. It's like, "Okay, well, maybe we could have, like, 1, maybe." Maybe we could have 1. Um, and yeah, I don't know, over time, I think the Lord just really started working on my heart of like, "Okay, so am I scared?" And really the matter behind it was that I was just terrified. I didn't wanna have to raise someone. I didn't wanna have that responsibility of making choices for them before and after they were born. Like, that's a lot to think about. It's a lot of things to have to do. So, um and I also think there's this stigma that, like, when you start trying to have a baby, that for everyone, it's gonna take a long time to get pregnant, and that has not been my experience, like, mine's almost the opposite, where it's like it's a blessing, but it almost feels like, I'm probably gonna get a lot of hate for this, but it also feels kinda like a curse sometimes because it happens too quick and too easy, that it's like, "Okay, we have a 3-year-old that's our oldest, and we're on our 4th kid." Like, that's a little ridiculous. So I was just thinking, like, when we started at first talking about and thinking about having kids, it was gonna take, like, 2 years. No, I was pregnant in 3 weeks, like, it was shocking, and my first pregnancy was identical twins, so add that onto that. So it was just yeah, shocking, and it
Wow.
continued every single pregnancy that I find out I'm pregnant, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, how did this happen?" Well, we know how it happens,
Yeah.
um but yeah, so it's just I don't think the shock factor goes
Uh-huh.
away, but, yeah, and I think especially with the kids, my heart has just changed so much, just in being a parent and now realizing that, like, even how I view God is different based on being a parent. Like, I understand so many things now that were talked about in the Bible because it's like, "Oh, okay. I get this from, like, a parent perspective now of, like, why XYZ or why someone would have grace on this or blah, blah, blah." It's just I don't know, it's just a weird transition that happens, so,
Yeah.
um,
That's interesting because I
yeah.
think that, like, Manny and I don't wanna have kids, and we
Okay.
never say never. However,
Yeah.
it's pretty positive. Yeah, we don't want to, and that's okay too.
Yeah, and that's fine.
And, um, but yeah, I think it's interesting. I always tell myself I'm a little bit more I feel just more like the cool uncle person that I'm gonna
Totally.
have those people in my life,
I bet you'll
instead.
be a cool uncle.
And, yeah, exactly. And so but yeah, I think that is an interesting thing to think about of just, like, how it changes when you have a kid,
Yeah.
and
Every
just the way you look at
everything
things. Yeah,
changes.
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you hear, right? Is everything changes,
Yeah.
and it's like it's very, and you won't understand it until you do it, right?
Yeah, it's
Which is
true.
also true.
Because there's nothing to compare it to, like,
Right.
literally nothing to I couldn't prep you enough
Yeah.
if you guys decided if you come to me, I'm gonna be like, "Okay, well, I can give you some spark notes, but it's still not gonna be even
Yeah.
scratching the
Well,
surface."
it's different for everybody, what's interesting too is you have also baby number 4 is on the way, and
Mhm.
you have decided to homeschool at least one of your kids, right? If not all of them. Uh,
Probably all of them, to be honest
Probably
with
all
you.
of them? Okay.
Yeah.
And so that has just started, because
Yeah.
we were supposed to record a week ago, and,
Uh-huh.
life just kinda kicked you in the butt.
Mhm.
So you are what, a week into homeschooling your kid now?
I'm a weekend homeschool. Okay, so my oldest okay, so everybody knows, I have a 3-year-old, she's gonna be 4 in December. I also have a 2-year-old, she's gonna be 3 in March, and I have a 10-month-old, he's gonna be 1 in October, and then I'm due with the 4th, and it's a boy, we haven't announced it, but I'll tell you guys. It's a boy, which is awesome, so it's like 2 and 2. How could we it's n like, so perfect. Um, he is due in, I think, like, March, end of March sometime. So that's a lot of I mean, that's a lot of kids back to back. It's like if we were gonna put them in private school or something like that, that's so much money. Like, affording private school these days is like affording college, and I don't wanna pay for their college.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. So, okay, so Haven is going to something kind of similar to, I don't know, it might be the same idea as, like, El Camino. Do you remember El Camino?
I do remember El Camino. So it's a little bit of a mix
Okay.
of both, right? At
It's a little
home,
bit,
in
yes,
school.
at home and school. So she has a teacher that she reports to, like, turn in all of her stuff. She goes there for chapel, for history, science, art, um, some, like, life skills stuff. So that's what her preschool is. So she's there for 2 days a week, Tuesday and Thursday, and then I'm then the one teaching her at home Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And that's really cool. And the place she goes to is like a little Christian academy. It's through the church that my husband and his family used to go to when they were little. So that's helpful. It's not as overwhelming for my brain. I'm very disorganized. I do not do great with like a plan or a schedule most of the time. So I think having someone for her, because she's very type A, to kind of give her the overview and to have her come home and give me the like, okay, this is what we're doing, is a better fit for especially my personality in the season of life where we still have a bunch of little kids at home and more just coming along. So,
Yeah.
um, and she's very social as well. So it's good. It gives her the ability to go take orders from somebody else for a little bit, make a bunch of friends, and then come home and then we can do the harder stuff at
Yeah.
home. So,
Yeah. So what does teaching at home then
mhm,
look like, right? So
yeah.
obviously you've kind of agreed to this is the curriculum that they're
Mhm,
using. And so like, yeah, what does it look like? How does it differ from like, I mean, I only asked that because like my mom, we would buy curriculum, but it was she
mhm,
kind of put together like, okay, we're going to do this math and we're going to do this science, we're
yeah,
going to do that, which is very it's a little bit different than having someone kind of set out this like here's here's what we're doing and you're going to
yeah.
help us on Monday, Wednesday, Fridays.
So at home, we're doing math stuff, math. I think what was the other thing? Literature. And I mean, with a preschooler, she's very, very smart. She really is.
Mhm.
She'll be smarter than me by like second grade, probably. Um, we're just doing small things.
Right.
So I think with preschool, we'll be learning obviously how to count to higher than, I think, maybe 50 or something. She's really interested in learning about money. She really wants to be able to go, and she's trying to figure out what coins to
Yeah.
use. She wants to learn how to tell time. So I think it's just like normal kid things that they're catching on to, like, oh, mom and dad do this. This is like a good life skill on top of
Right.
us also being able to apply it to like subjects. My goal with school, this is something about school that I very strongly dislike. I really think a lot of school is a waste of time. I think having to learn algebra, I think having to learn trigonometry, these are all things that I had to do. I've never used any of that in my everyday life. Some people might. I'm not saying that we're not going to teach those things to our kids to an extent, but I did consumer math whenever I was a senior in high school, and I honestly wish I would have done it all my years because it has served me so well to be able to know how to do my taxes, to write a check, to pay bills, to do bookkeeping. My husband's also in finance too, so for him, those things that he did, because he was also homeschooled, they have served him greatly. And he doesn't even have a degree in finance, and he's like doing incredible at the bank.
Mhm.
So it's just things that like I really want to hone in on focusing on skills and things that can apply to everything rather than just like one specific thing, like, oh, you may become an engineer, but probably not. Like, and
Yeah.
unless that she just like shows interest in it.
Yeah.
I wish somebody would have been like, okay, these are certain things that you could use in photography. Because now being a wedding photographer, there are things that like I wish I knew how to do better and how to keep clients and how to stuff like that. But obviously, we're not going to know what we're going to do when we're
Right.
older. But still, it's things that I used um, and a lot of used space that was wasted on other things.
Right.
Hopefully that makes sense. I don't know.
No, that does because I mean you're basically saying like you you wanna play into your kid's passion. There's obviously things that
Totally, yes.
any kid needs to know how to do, right? Every kid needs to know how to read and write, and they need to know how to
Yes.
do 2 plus 2 equals 4, you know?
Yes.
And I trust me, I get it. Because, yeah, there's plenty of stuff that I'm like, "Ugh, I bothered to learn this, and I'm never gonna use it."
Totally.
But sometimes you never know. Sometimes things do pop
So
out that
yes,
it's like,
you don't.
"Whoa." But I also had parents who they encouraged me to hone in on the things that I liked. I
Mhm.
liked music,
Yep.
I served on the worship team. I worked in a music studio. I had like a
Yep.
billion and one guitars. Like I just like
Mhm.
that kind of stuff. They really were like, yeah, encouraging me to pursue those things because I was very passionate about it, right? And the same
Yes,
with like
yes.
different histories, and I've talked about this on previous episodes of like being really into pirates and studying pirates and things like that.
Mhm.
It's like that is where I think traditional education sometimes gets it wrong, but I think it's wrong in the sense that you're talking to a classroom of kids that are all very different and they have to create something that
Totally.
works somewhat for everybody. And that's just really
Totally.
hard. And so
It's really
regardless
hard.
of
Yeah.
a kid that's in public school, private school, whatever, it's like having mom and dad who are just there to be like, you're really into this. Let's just go
Mhm.
all in on it and be
Let's
like,
incorporate this. Yeah.
Exactly. Like you
Yeah.
said, your daughter is really into, like, coins right now and, like, understanding how
Mhm.
money works. It's like, "Okay, well, that's interesting. Like, let's just
Yeah.
do that. How when we play cashier at home, like, let's do with
Yep.
real
She
money."
doesn't realize it, but it's math.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And it's somewhat complicated math too
Yeah,
because,
it
I
is.
mean,
Yeah.
you're talking about things that just kind of have arbitrary value to them, in a lot of
Yep.
sense. Like it doesn't, I don't know. Money still doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Can you tell? But
Well, money is confusing, especially these days. It's
yeah, yeah.
very
Well, and like
confusing.
you said, like there are things that you now own your own business, and like there are
Mhm.
plenty of things that you're like, I wish I would have had some learning and some education around these things that it would just
Mhm.
put you in maybe that next level of whatever it is. It would just have set you ahead, instead
Yeah.
of having to basically play catch up now, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and the funny thing is that, so I ended up going to, like, college for a while. Not like what most people did, but, when I was trying to figure out, because I always, did some sort of, like, photo work, even at Group Solutions. I actually took a photography class and a Photoshop class at Group Solutions. It was always something I was
Yeah,
super passionate about. But in when I got home from YWAM and we were married and I was honestly just like in a bored season, I just decided I was like, I've always loved makeup. I used to work backstage Fashion Week in LA every now and then, because we had a bunch of connections through YWAM, working with different models and stuff like that. And that was something I thought was really fun, really cool. It like provided a really unique perspective on like the beauty industry. So I ended up actually going to SBCC and I got my license in to be an esthetician. So a lot of my learning in how to build a clientele and how to deal with people on a client level actually came from um, learning how to be an esthetician, which is so funny because I hate being an esthetician. It was not what was meant for me. I do not want to touch people's gross faces. Like it's just, it was not. It did not end up being what I desired.
yeah,
Ultimately, I desired to be a photographer. Still, I should have just stuck with what I knew I loved. But it gave me. I was able to transfer all of that over really
right.
well. So that was cool. I like almost got a crash course in it. Just then used it for a different skill. So
Yeah,
um, yeah, so it ended up working itself out, but yeah, I don't know, just funny. I, like, had to
yeah.
try something that I was like, "I think I like this, but just kidding, I actually still wanna do
Yeah.
this."
No, I think that's
So
and we're allowed to pivot and change. I mean, I went to school
totally, yeah,
originally be recording I wanted to do recording engineering or audio engineering, excuse me, which
okay,
is like kind of ultimately what I do now. I'm a podcast editor, but like I wanted to work with bands. That was the thing. And then I got there and I
mhm,
hated the classes and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to the music business, entertainment
yeah,
industry. I want to manage bands. That was the thing. And then I got out and I was like, it's really hard to break into the music industry. And then kind
mhm,
of fell into podcasting, and all of the skills that I learned doing those things all come into play with what I do currently. And it's
yeah,
it's
and you're in the
really
perfect spot for it too.
that is true too.
Yeah,
But it's been interesting that like because there were times where working a dead end job and just like feeling like I wasted all this time and energy learning this stuff that I'm never going to use because I'm just stuck in the rabbit hole of serving people
Mhm.
food or working at a coffee shop or whatever.
Been there.
Ultimately, it came out, and now it's like, okay, now I get to use all of these skills for what I want to do, my passions now.
Totally.
And that's super cool. So,
And those are just
um,
extra skills that you have in your back pocket that every now and then, if you need to whip them out, voila, you've got it. So,
exactly, exactly.
yeah.
And so yeah, I wanted to there's 2 places I wanna go. I'm trying to
Okay.
figure out which place I wanna go first. Let me go here first. So, you and your husband own a wedding photography company,
Mhm.
and,
Yep.
so shout that out really quick. How can people find you if they're
Mhm.
looking? Is it specifically in Kentucky? Do you guys travel? I mean, for the right price, most people do anything, but
We have traveled a lot. Yes, this coming year, I'm not traveling at all because traveling after having a newborn, I've done it. 5th this is my 5th wedding season pregnant. I've been pregnant every year since 2020, so, yeah, it's been a lot. So this coming year, I have decided we're not traveling at all this coming year. But, so yeah, Kentucky, Tennessee, Indiana, Ohio really are, like, the best, um, places for us because we can drive. We're at, like, the most perfect spot in Kentucky to be able to reach all the states around us within, like, an hour and a half, 2
yeah.
hours, um, so that's really nice. But yeah, our page is called You and Me. So it's like the word you and then just the letter N, me photographs. And yeah, we just built it off of the fact that we had an incredible experience with our wedding photographer. He was actually not a wedding photographer. We fired our first wedding photographer because she was just distracted all the time and honestly really annoying to work with. And we ended up contacting a wild he was kinda like an adventure wildlife photographer, but I loved how he, edited and his perspective on life was really cool, and so he shot our wedding kind of from, like, a I don't know, not from a wedding perspective, a normal one.
Yeah.
So it just gave us really interesting photos. So,
Yeah. No,
yeah,
I
he was kind of
love
like our
yeah.
inspiration.
I remember when you guys got married and the photos came out, and I was like, "These are super cool shots." I mean, you guys got married in
Yeah,
a beautiful place.
they
You got married in Santa Barbara,
yes.
outside of
It's
the
the
courthouse.
most
It's
beautiful location.
absolutely gorgeous.
The cheapest location, and it's that pretty. It's so
Yeah.
crazy how cheap it is.
I mean, I got married right outside of Ventura Hall, City Hall, and
Oh,
those
that's
shots
beautiful too.
yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm amazed, and people to this day are like, "Well, how'd you do that?" I'm like, "Well, we literally." I mean, also, I didn't have people at my wedding, it was just immediate family, but
Oh, that's
literally,
nice.
we called it the flash dance, wedding because, like, literally, we just walked up, did the thing,
Yeah,
took photos, left. Didn't have to pay a cent, it just was
and
kind of a
honestly,
thing.
that's the way to do it, and that's the things that I actually love shooting the most is because there's no show,
Mm,
there's no, there's nothing staged. It's just 2 people who really love each other who got married, and they just went and did the thing,
yeah.
so
That's awesome. Well, I'm
Oh.
gonna link all of it in the show notes and stuff
Oh,
because,
thank you.
yeah, if you guys are looking for a wedding do you guys do anything beside wedding photography, or is it just primarily wedding photography?
I do weddings, we do, obviously, couples and families. I love doing families, especially now that I have kids,
Mhm.
I just have a different eye for shooting families now that I have my
Yeah.
own kids. So, I don't know, I like very wild, natural family photos where kids are rolling in mud and having fun. So, yeah, so we do mainly families, couples,
Okay.
weddings. So,
Very
yeah.
cool. Yeah.
Yep.
I've only ever done 3, we'll call them professional photo shoots with an actual,
Uh-huh.
like, hired photographer that and the first one was with Becky Schwartz, who you know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And she gave like I just did not know what I was doing, and she gave me the best piece of advice was just she was just like we started laughing and she started telling jokes
Mhm.
and all this stuff. And we were just hanging out and just very and those are the photos that turned out the absolute best. Were just
Yeah.
it was there was no like, okay, you're gonna smile, say cheese. Like it was
Yeah.
nothing like that. It was just very like natural walking, posing, just like
Yep.
very spur of the moment. She snapped a photo kind of a thing. And those just
Mhm.
they're authentic feeling.
They give
And
the best photos.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. So, okay. So the second place I wanted to go, and this is kind of jumping back into now that you have kids,
Mhm.
was is there a specific memory or event from your childhood, whether it's homeschooling days or not, that you are like wanting to maybe try to like replicate a little bit with your kids? Some of the magic that uh, your family had, or things that you're just like, I don't want to do that. My parents did that. That was big no no.
Those are good questions. We did a lot of really fun. Okay, so we had a cabin in Yosemite. My family did, and we did. That was mostly where like majority of our family vacations happened. We didn't ever go on like big crazy trips. I think we did one time when I was 15. We went to Hawaii as a family, and that was super fun. But my best memories, I think, are just from like simple family car rides. And honestly, we would go on a bike ride most nights after dinner, and just my parents never. We never had to look perfect. We were never expected to like be prim and proper at church. Like I think they're just there was just a uh, there was never too much pressure added onto anything. And I think that's what I appreciate the most looking back at my childhood is that nothing was ever taken too serious. And I was only really expected to be a kid. Um, and yeah, they helped us have. We had a great childhood, honestly. We did all kinds of fun stuff. My dad, we have this running joke in our family. My dad is not super handy, like really at all. I'm being kind on here because just in case he watches this. But we asked for a tree house. We had a tree, okay? So keep that in mind. We had a tree in our backyard. It's huge. And we kept asking him, like, Dad, we would love to have a tree house. It'd be so fun. So one day we come home from doing something, and he's like, "Girls, guess what?" Because we're all girls in our family. I made you guys a treehouse, and we were like, "Okay." So we go in the backyard, and it is this stupid corner of the house that has a tent, or not a tent, a tarp that is hung like across this corner of the house. And he's like, "This is your treehouse," and it was just like I still just remember the. He was so proud of himself, and we were so like, "You are so dumb. Why would you do this for us?" But it's just like the silliness
Yeah.
of like seeing your parents just like still enjoy being a kid. And I really think Callan was just saying this the other night with becoming a parent, having your own kids. I think replicating their childhood, you're also just kind of the whole time trying to replicate your childhood because it's the best. Especially if you had a good childhood, you just want to live through them
Mhm.
through everything.
Yeah.
Um, and like even dropping Haven off at school for the first time last week, I thought it was going to be a mess and sob and cry the whole time. And honestly, I was just so excited for her because I remember that feeling of getting new shoes and getting to go make friends. And I mean, it's just really exciting. So more than anything, I think we just don't want to put too much pressure on them to do certain things. They don't ever have to look perfect going to church. I mean, they have, we have a property that has about 3 acres on it, and we just set them free and let them go be fun and wild. And
Yeah.
um, I don't know, I just want them to enjoy their childhood and look back and be like, "Mom and Dad were fun." Like they got in the pool and like in the tiny little plastic pool that had a bunch of grass and bird poop in it, and still like had fun with us. So,
Yeah.
and negative, honestly, I don't actually have a ton of negatives. Um, Obviously, my parents weren't perfect, but they really championed us in a lot and were I mean there's not really much in my head at
Yeah.
least that I remember. Maybe if you would have asked me as a teenager, probably gonna come up with like a trillion things. But
It's always
yeah,
easier
I
when you're
don't.
in the middle of it
Yeah.
to be like, "Oh, mom and dad
Oh
suck." But
gosh, they were the
I mean, I
worst.
remember even as a high school kid being like, "Man, Morgan's parents are cool."
They were
So
cool, honestly, and my parents were always they were always the house that wanted to host everything. Like they loved having high schoolers over, the junior highs over. Like it was just the delight of their heart to host everyone and to always have food for everyone. And our house also looked like if this is our house, right across diagonally across the street was Ventura High. So like my friends would get off of school and come to our house to eat. So, like, or like come on their lunch break to come over and hang out. So it was fun. Like my mom and dad were always very just like, yeah, invite everyone over. Or like one of our family vacations, we went to Yosemite and we went backcountry camping. And I think I brought James, Andrew, Ella, Tiffany, Josiah, Josiah's brother, like a whole bunch of people that we just all packed in my car and we just all went camping together on my
Yeah.
family's vacation. So like they were always very um down for the party. So
Yeah.
yeah, they
That's
were
a good
great.
way to
So
live. Because I mean,
yes,
what I've realized more and more is, like, we only get one life to live, right? And so it's just,
totally.
like,
Yeah,
you gotta make the most of it. You gotta have fun, you gotta explore, you gotta, like, it's okay to
totally.
be a kid sometimes. Even as an adult, it's okay to
Yeah,
be a kid sometimes and just do those things. And,
yeah.
no, that's super
And
cool.
even
And
as an adult, you should always have a set of play clothes. I am a strong believer
oh,
in that too. So yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. You kidding me? Yeah. No, I worked at a toy store a couple years ago, and that was, like, some of the most fun. We did birthday parties, but those
Oh
were
yeah,
some of the most fun of all time because it was just, like, we just got to play, and we got to play with
yeah,
people and with
yep,
kids, and kids can tell when you're, like, an adult and you're, like, there just as enthralled with whatever it is. They're like, "You're cool," like, because 'cause
yeah.
you're
Oh,
just
they
with it,
know.
you're just yeah, you're just in it with
They
them, and
sniff out BS from like 12 miles away. It's kind of ridiculous.
yeah, yeah. I had a client who we were on a call and his daughter came in the room and we were chatting and I hadn't met her and we were chatting or whatever and she had a stuffed animal and I was like, "Oh, can you tell me about your stuffed animal or whatever?" And does it have a name? Does it, favorite color, all that kind of stuff. And then I was like, "Do you want to meet my favorite stuffed animal?" And I went in the other room and I have my monkey from when I was a kid still. It
Oh,
looks
stop.
disgusting. It's like absolutely gross looking. It's like bald. It's like missing an eye. Like it's disgusting looking. And I showed her, and she's just like, "He's ugly." And I was like, "Well, I've had him for a really long time." Like,
I've
but
had him for like nearly 30
yeah,
years,
but
please.
it's funny because whenever we get on a call, she now remembers me because of that, and
Mhm. 'Cause of
so
your monkey.
because of my monkey, and
Yep,
so it's just yeah. Sometimes you just gotta have that childlike wonder still to this day,
it's
but
true. Yep, and kids really they really do open your world up to a lot. There's just so many things, and I'm like, I just like don't get to be a selfish person because my life is in servanthood to ultimately, obviously, first to Callum, but then to our kids, and it's like you just do it. I don't know, but I'm still thinking most people are like bitter. I think a lot of moms are bitter once they go into motherhood, but for me, I'm like, you just gotta roll with it. Like, you just gotta go for it because they're not gonna be 3 and 4, and my kids, they have this cuss word that they've made up.
oh no,
It's called a butt fork. I have no idea what that is, but everybody is a butt fork behind closed doors, and it's like, even stuff like that is
that's
hysterical. Like,
hilarious.
I'm not gonna get after them for saying butt fork because it's freaking hilarious, like,
That's so
so,
funny.
yeah, they
Oh
keep things
man.
lively,
Yes.
so,
Well,
yeah.
that's awesome. And
Mm.
well, I wanted to say it one more time. Thank you so much for coming on. And is
Yes,
there
thank you for asking.
anything that in chatting has either sprung to mind where you're like, "Oh shoot, I just remembered this story. I got to share it," or any last words that you want to leave the people with?
Man, I don't know. I don't miss Ventura, I'll tell you that. Uh, California is my home state, but Kentucky is my soul state, so I know a lot of people have wondered, like, "Oh, why is she there?" Like, I love living here, so if
Yeah.
anyone's wondering. I cannot tell you the amount of times I get asked that probably once a week by someone from Ventura. So and that's not like a dig at all, it's just like this side of the country just is awesome, like, it's so fun.
Oh yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm really thankful for youth group and just being able to make friends ultimately, and thankful that we had a an awesome church that we got to go to. That for me, I mean, looking back between church, youth group, and YWAM, like those are really big things that shaped my life, and I'm thankful for the people that poured into me even when I was a little crapper. So yeah, I don't know. I just think that yeah, that time of life was better than what I was thinking it was when I was in it. And obviously, you always look back with fond eyes eventually. But yeah, I did not have a negative experience with homeschool or youth group or any of those things. So um, I hope that we'll get to foster something similar to that for our kids. So
Good.
yeah, and if people are thinking about wanting to homeschool their kids, obviously I'm like not that far in, but I have a ton of kids. Anybody can text me and ask me how it's going. So
Yeah. No,
but,
that's cool. Well, yeah,
yeah, nothing
thank
nothing
you.
profound.
Hey, that's okay. Not
I
everything
don't
has to
have
be
advice for anyone.
not everything has to be a TED Talk, you know? Um,
No, yeah.
well, Morgan, this has been awesome, and I appreciate your time so much, and, it's been great, like, catching up and reconnecting with you, and it's
I
been a
know,
little while,
yes.
so
Yep,
and we're
it
neighbors,
has.
so who knows? Maybe
Yeah,
we probably have the highest likelihood of actually running into each other at some point.
it's true,
Um
and we love Nashville, like, Nashville coffee shops are what we go down there literally just to drink coffee, so,
Well, cool.
um,
Well, next time you're in town, we'll go get
yep,
coffee.
let's do it. Yep, I'd love to meet your wife, so
Yeah. All right. Well, this has
cool.
been the Ex-Homeschoolers Club. Thank you for listening. And as always, do the things that you got to do: subscribe, follow, like, rate, review. I like criticism too. Um, just put it in a friendly way, please. And if you want to get a hold of me, there's two ways you can do it. You can either follow me on Instagram. It's at EXHS Club on Instagram, Threads, TikTok, those places. Or you can email me at exhsclub@gmail.com. And yeah, if you've got questions, you've got things you want to talk about, maybe you want to come on the show, hit me up. I want to chat and I want to reminisce with you. So this has been great. And until next time, we'll see ya. All right. Peace.